you today about a moment in my life when I knew that God was right beside me. He's always beside me, but sometimes he whispers and sometimes he probie smacks me in the back of the head. This one was a probie smack. Last year, my husband Rick started getting sick. We couldn't figure out why. They were little things. They weren't connected to each other. We managed them the best we could, and by about June, we knew we needed some medical intervention. So we asked the doctors to come in, and the different doctors would treat each individual problem, but each time the doctor would say, "We really don't know what this is, but let's give him an antibiotic." 4 antibiotics later, we were in the hospital, and in each case, he was given an antibiotic without the proper testing to determine what he had, because they wanted to cure him and send him home. And he came quite close to not making it. Once they had healed one portion of his body, they moved him into other sections of the hospital and they began doing tests. And we spent about 12 to 16 days in the hospital. I had 5 specialists who had completed all their tests, and they said, "We don't know. We do not know what this is." So on my 12th night of not sleeping, I got my trusty phone out and I typed in all of his symptoms and ailments and hit search. The search page took me to a Turkish website, and it had the little Turkish symbols, and I knew right away I was in foreign land. I glanced at it really quickly and decided I would move on because there was no way. What it was talking about was Rick had something called Behçet's disease, and it was very rare in the United States. Nobody had it. So I was just going to go to the next page. And as I put my finger up to go to the next page, I heard God say to me, "You asked me for help. I've sent you the answer." So I went back to the page and began to read. And I read all night on my phone everything I could find out about Behçet's. Rick had 5 symptoms out of 7. Very odd symptoms. They don't go together. So the first doctor came in the next morning, and I asked him if he would look at this and tell me what he thought. He said, "Oh no, he doesn't have Behçet's." He said, "I've seen Behçet's. He doesn't have Behçet's. Not Behçet's." I got the same response from all 5 doctors. Nobody would consider that I could possibly be right. And when I told them God had sent me there, and that's how I knew I was right, I was not met with what you would expect. Being medical personnel, they had 30 years experience each, and they all knew I was wrong. And I went to the head of the hospital, Patient Advocate Services, and I said, "Please ask him just to listen to me, just to sit everybody in one room, consider that this could possibly be right." I didn't get to a Turkish website because I knew what I'm doing. I got to a Turkish website because God took me there. The doctors all came in. They said, "Oh, sure, honey, you are right. We know you're right. You're right." Until I fired 2 doctors, and a new one arrived, and he had taken the time to actually read the file. He had looked at all of the extremely serious issues Rick had going on, and he came in the door and he said, "You are right." He said, "I have read the file." He said, "You are correct." He says, "I don't know how you got there." And I said, "God took me there." There was no doubt in my mind. He's now being treated for Behçet's. All doctors are in agreement. Not one of them would have thought about it. We trusted our lives and our marriage to God. And we trusted in our faith that he did take me to the Behçet's webpage. He did get at least one doctor to listen to me. And it's 1 year later, actually almost to the day. I cannot say he's in remission. We can cautiously say stable. And we're hoping that we can keep going from here. Rick has learned that if I say, "God told me to do something," that no matter how strange it might sound, I'm going to do it. And it doesn't matter what mountains I might need to move, I'm going to do it. And it's going to be okay. It doesn't matter what obstacles are in front of me. It doesn't matter what the odds are that I could or could not achieve this. I'm going to do it. And that's my faith and how I roll.